Movements that heal back pain, part 4. Hey everybody, this is Mike Erlob with another episode of Power Your Life. So last week, got to share something with you. Last week, I decided that I would change up my jogging routine. Actually my jogging route, not so much my routine, but my route. And the reason I decided to do that is I started jogging this summer. I started in July. Just as a way for me to get in better shape, and I hadn't gone jogging like in 28 years since the last time I went jogging on a regular basis was when I was on active duty in the Army, which was back in 1992. So it had been a really long time. And I just kind of got this idea. It's like, I think I want to start jogging. I want to get in better shape. I want to, help keep the weight off. I do that already with intermittent fasting and a low carb diet. But, I felt like I just needed more. So I started jogging. And I mapped out this route around my neighborhood, and when you do that in the summertime, you don't really have to worry about what's going on with daylight. I could go jogging at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock at night and it wasn't a problem. Well, that has gotten to be a little bit more difficult now to get my run in since it's starting to get dark, just around 5 o'clock. And the part of my route was on a highway, and it was going up a hill and over some gravel roads. And so, I realized that it's just not safe anymore to take that route in the dark. So I went out and I mapped out a new route, and that would keep me in town and keep me on these lighted streets. And I didn't think it would be that hard of a route to jog. It actually had less hills in it than my current route. And I thought, well, this should work out just fine. But on the first day of that new route, I found myself struggling to finish. I mean, just changing that up seemed to completely, like, my pace was off, my mental focus was not where it needed to be to keep me pushing through those difficult times. I just kept thinking, I'm like, this should not be that hard. And I was struggling to finish that last quarter mile as I was thinking that. But the reality is it was that hard. And, when I got done, I thought about it, and for the next couple days, I just kind of thought, like, why was that so hard for me? And I realized that, when I changed the route, it changed everything about my run. Not only was the route different, but every part of the run that I was used to had changed. And that's what made it so hard for me. And, that really got me thinking. Change is often difficult for all of us. And let's face it, we're creatures of habit. And most of us really don't like to change things in our routines or in our lives. But you see, I've come to realize that change is the catalyst that forces us to grow. And I learned this back in my weight training days. After I got out of the service, out of the Army in 92, I really got into the sport of powerlifting. And I really got into weight training, lifting weights. And one of the things that I noticed back then was when I first started lifting weights, I would find a workout routine that was successful for me, and I would just keep it the same, But here's what would happen. Eventually, my progress would stop. You see, my body would get used to the workout and the weights. And what would happen is I would stop getting stronger. And actually, my lifts, they would start to get weaker. And the harder that I pushed, the worse that it got. And I found I would have trouble, more and more trouble lifting the same weights. And then what happened is, as I became more experienced, I learned how to change up my workouts and to try different lifts and sets and reps and weights. And when I did this, my progress would always pick back up. And you see, what I realized is that the body needs change to progress, and it keeps avoidance from being stagnant. And our lives are no different. You see, change causes growth. And let's face it, growth hurts. And most of us, we're just programmed to avoid pain. So what do? We avoid change. And when we avoid change, we then fail to grow like we should. And we've all heard the definition of insanity, right? Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Well, when you are doing the same thing over and over again, yeah, that is a form of insanity. And it doesn't matter what part of your life that you're focusing on right now, whether it's physical, emotional, professional, or spiritual. You must have change in order to make progress. Don't fear change because it's a necessary part of life. Okay, with that being said, let's get to work on the movements that will change your back pain. So as we talked, the movements that heal back pain are the ones that, one, they hit the key muscle groups and that contribute to the back issues. Number two, they have to work multiple muscle groups at the same time, and they also have to prime your nervous system. And then they're also capable of creating structural change within your body. So today what we're going to do is we're going to work on not yet. We're not going to be moving yet, Arena. Give me a couple minutes. My assistant Arena is getting ready to adjust the camera because we're going to move positions, but I had to warn her we're not going to go quite yet. We are going to work on two movements that will definitely prime your nervous system. So what is priming your nervous system anyway? Think of it like this, okay? You know how your computer has a motherboard, right? And it runs all of the operations and functions of your computer? Well, think about this. Your body is just like a computer, okay? And your central nervous system, which is made up of your brain and spinal cord, that's basically the motherboard for your body, all right? Now, the brain will send electrical signals and passes them down the spinal cord, which then transfers them to the nerves, which goes to the muscles, and then those muscles are activated and movement is produced. Now, this all happens in milliseconds. I mean, it is bam, so fast. And it's really actually amazing when you think about it. So think of this, your electrical pathway through your central nervous system. It's also, another way to think of it is, it's a lot like a hiking trail in the woods. And the more that a trail is used, the more visible it is, right? There's fewer things growing over it. There's fewer things blocking it. You can see a trail that is used all the time versus a trail that's hardly ever used and you got things growing over it and you can't even tell where you're going, right? So we refer to these electrical pathways, like a kind of a hiking trail, as motor pathways. And the more you use them, the more natural your movement becomes, like a well-used trail. And so this is how you learn a new movement or skill, because when you do use something new, a new movement or a new skill, it feels awkward and uncoordinated. And that's because that motor pathway, the electrical pathway, the quote unquote hiking trail from your motherboard, that is not well developed. But the more you use it, the more you practice it, the better that it gets. Now, priming your nervous system helps this process, okay? So just like you would warm your muscles, warm your muscles up before you go on a workout, you need to warm up your nervous system, all right? You need to start firing the nerve endings and the movement of the signals to prepare your body for a workout. And also, breathing is a very important in this process, okay? Because the breathing patterns, they've been shown to have a direct influence on the activation of the nervous system. So, before we go into these two movements, all right, let's review the principles of multifunctional movement. Never hold your breath during this movement, all right? I just got done saying breathing is important, all right? It activates and primes your nervous system. Is very important. Okay, always engage your abdominals, your stomach muscles. Just tighten them. Pull your belly button in towards your spine. Okay. Never force into your primary pain, all right? Muscle soreness, it might be created from performing the movement, and that muscle soreness is good, but increase in your primary pain levels is not. And if you ever wonder, hey, what's my primary pain level? Well, that's your average pain. That's the back pain that you might be suffering just on a day-to-day basis. Just put a number on that. Whatever that number is, don't ever go above 2 points above that, okay? So if your pain level is like, say, a 3, you should never go beyond a 5. Now, if you do have pain before you start, be conscientious of that pain. Don't do anything to aggravate it. A correct movement will decrease the pain, not make it worse. And last, we've talked about this before, challenge yourself, okay? Once you get the movement down, once you feel really good with it, work it to the point where you feel at least 40% challenged. Because if you don't do that, you're just simply not going to gain as much from that. All right, so now we're going to move into that movement, all right? So we're going to start priming your nervous system with these two, and these are really considered warm-ups, okay? One of them is called swing kicks, and the other one is a yoga pose known as Warrior One. So I'm just going to step over here, and we're going to come over into the open and get ourselves adjusted here. And we'll let Arena get the camera all set. Bear with us as we're trying to get a good view here. Okay. All right, perfect. We're good to go. Now, swing kicks, okay? So a swing kick is an exercise that we use as a warm-up. It's going to help actively stretch. It's a dynamic stretch for your hamstrings. It works your hip flexors. You're working your core. Also, a lot like what I showed you the other last week, or maybe it was Tuesday, about the donkey kicks, right? Is it really works your balance too, all right? So to do a proper swing kick, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to put yourself in a position like if you were going to take off running, okay? So you're going to put one leg behind you, the other leg in front of you. Now the next thing is where do you put your hands? Do not just let your hands dangle at their side. Just don't let them dangle here, all right? Bring them up. I want you to put your hands and make a fist, okay? Like in a defensive boxing position, all right? Or a fighting position. Put a slight bend in your knees, all right? I'm going to do a swing kick with my right leg. So my right leg's behind me, my left leg's in front. I got my hands up. I'm going to, remember, pull my belly button in. So I'm going to engage my core. And then I'm going to take this leg and I'm going to keep my right knee straight as I swing forward, just like that, okay? So, looks like this. We swing forward and back. Now, you don't have to keep the knee perfectly straight, but keep it as straight as you can. And think of it like you're trying to take your right foot and you're trying to throw it over your shoulder. So the first time you do this, you're probably not going to go very high because you're going to feel a pretty good stretch in that hamstring. You don't want to overdo it. But as you get warmed up, you can start swinging a little bit higher and you can start going a little bit faster. So it looks simple like this. Swing, okay, and swing. And you just work on the height. Breathe. In through the nose, out through the mouth. As you swing the leg up, you feel a stretch in the hamstring. It's going to work the other side. It's going to work that hip. It's going to work your core. And most importantly, it's going to mobilize the sciatic nerve, okay? So it's going to help mobilize that nerve. It's going to help prime your nervous system. It's really going to get you warmed up. Now what you should do is you should start out with a set of 10 on each leg and do that for 2 sets, okay? So you're going to do 2 sets of 10 swing kicks. Now, the next movement is a yoga pose that we call Warrior One. Now, the way I do this in the clinic, it's a little different than maybe what you would see like in a yoga studio. So what we're really focusing on here with Warrior One is we want to get stretching of the hip flexors, of the psoas muscle. We want to engage the glutes, but it's also going to start working your quads, working your core, and it's also going to work your upper back muscles, all right? So your upper back and middle back muscles, even your lower back, your glutes, all those muscles are going to get activated, and that's good because that's what we call your posterior chain. And that posterior chain with many people today, because of everything we do in sitting and driving and watching TV and computer work, that posterior chain gets really, really weak. So, again, if you start one leg in front of the other, much like you were going to take off running again, okay? And then what I like to do now, in yoga class, they might tell you to turn that back foot out, but for what we're doing in our purpose, I like to keep that foot forward, okay? And then what you're going to do is you're going to keep that back leg straight, and you're going to slowly bend forward on the other side. Now this is important, okay? I'm going to be working on this right side. I do not want, as I bend my left knee, I don't want that left knee to shoot beyond my foot, okay? So like if I do that, you see how my knee shoots too far in front? If I look straight down, I should see my knee just barely going to the ends of my toes. It should not go beyond that. I'm going to keep an upright position. Again, tightening that core, okay? Keeping that knee bent. Now, what I'm going to do here is my back leg, I'm going to keep that foot flat, that knee straight, right knee straight, and I'm going to tighten these glute muscles. That's really important, all right? You've got to activate your glutes because when you activate those glutes, it pulls your hips back, all right? It's what we call a posterior rotation, so it pulls your hips back, which allows you to really shut down that psoas and get a much better stretch on it. And then you're going to take both of your arms and you raise them up, much like a touchdown, okay? Referee giving a touchdown. signal. And then what I like to do is add a little squeeze of the shoulder blades together. Okay, so you keep that left knee bent, keep those glutes tight. It's a lot to think about. Gaze straight ahead. Just pick something out on the wall. Okay, and then breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. If you have a timer, it works to do this for about 30 seconds or 7 to 8 breath cycles. And then you can bring your arms down, okay? Straighten the legs, step back, step forward with your other leg, and repeat the same thing on the other side. Tighten the glutes, don't let the knee shoot out in front of the toes. Again, arms up, squeeze the shoulder blades together. And if you want to, you can even add a little bit of a back lean. Tighten your core. And breathe. 7 to 8 breath cycles or 30 seconds. Come down. Now, when you start, you can do that twice, all right? 30 seconds 2 times. Eventually, you want to put those together where you can hold that active stretch position for a full minute. When you get really good, you should be able to do for a minute on each side. All right, so that is our nervous system priming warm-up. I like to do these before I start anything. Before I go into any kind of a workout or back workout program, these are really good ways to get yourself all warmed up. Key here is keep the muscles engaged, breathe in the nose, out the mouth, okay? And like I said, as you get better and more comfortable with these movements, as your motor pathways, your hiking trails, of your central nervous system, as they get, more used and better, you're going to get more comfortable. Then you can start increasing the speed and the height of the swing kicks. You can start working on your hold time with Warrior One, all right? Just as I mentioned, do these as a regular warm-up before your regular back program just to get your nervous system all primed up. See, and this won't take long, but you're going to soon notice improved movement, balance, and coordination. And if you find it too hard at first, all right, be patient, okay? Just take it slow and keep the movements small, all right, until you get better. Because just because you can't do it today doesn't mean you won't be able to do it tomorrow. The key here is to be consistent and persistent. Almost forgot. If you are having back pain and you would like to not only find out what the root cause is, but you just really want to fix things for good. You're trying to do it on your own and it's just not working, okay? And you want to get a permanent fix to your problem. Then what you should do is you should sign up for our new back pain breakthrough exam. All you've got to do is just click on the link below in the comments and you can find out everything about this amazing new program that we have. So, as always, I will leave you with a thought-provoking quote from Rick Warren. And what he said was, "There is no growth without change, no change without fear or loss, and no loss without pain." So I want you to think about that. And until next time, power your life and keep moving forward.